What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope that all of you guys are having a wonderful Easter weekend. It's gorgeous weather out. Flowers are blooming. I love this time of year. Spring is springing, okay? So listen, after what seems like an endless stream of teasers and trailers and, back dates, updates, moving all around the different dates, Kenya Moore has finally put out her full YouTube video titled her Confessionals. And listen, I'm here for it. I feel like, Kenya said that she's pretty sick of the narrative being told by other people. She's just tired of other people making a coin off of her and her name. And I'm like, I know that's right. Grab the pen. This is your story. Tell us your story. Tell us your side. I'm always willing to listen to both sides of the story because, as the old adage says, it's usually three sides to the truth: this person's side, and then somewhere in the middle is the truth. So I'm going to break down her confessionals in her own words. She does use some language that I'm going to have to skip around a little bit because it's not YouTube friendly. But again, and I wanted to give Kenya some grace. Like I mentioned, in earlier videos that I was essentially waiting for her to drop the full confessionals video after she moved the date from the 15th to essentially, she said the 18th, but now, and that's fine. It takes, I feel like I'm a newbie. I feel like in this YouTube game, still learning, still growing. So I wanted to give Kenya some grace in that regard. But like I said, I am glad that she is, starting her own YouTube channel. If you guys noticed, because she did have one before, and it was like years and years ago. I think her oldest video back in the day was like 12 years ago, and then she had some from like 8 or 9 years ago, and then just radio silence until now. And I think she scrubbed all those old ones. So again, I'm glad to see her, doing her thing, taking back her power, her agency, her autonomy, taking back the pen to write her own narrative. Portia's on YouTube, Nene's on YouTube. I feel like it's instead of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I feel like it's going to be the Real Housewives of YouTube. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into her own words. It says confessionals in my own words.
So I want to start off by referencing something that means so much to me, especially right now. It is a quote from Kendrick Lamar. Wait, what's the quote? Oh, okay.
It's the influence quote.
Okay. They tried to rig the game, but they cannot fake influence. They, you know who they is, tried it, girl, tried to rig the game, meaning, hey, we're going to try to make you think this over here. You cannot fake influence.
And I will give her that, right? Kenya, she has been doing her thing in the entertainment space, first winning the crown with Miss USA in the 90s, and then starring in all different type of shows and being on The Housewives for the past, I want to say 12 seasons. So she's been, a part of pop culture in the entertainment scene, especially the urban entertainment scene. She was doing, different movies and things like that. So she's been, on it. She's been on her grind for quite a while. So, which is why it's so unfortunate that Brit Edy, who was largely unknown before the Housewives, came in and kind of knocked her off, off of her position, essentially.
And I am influential. Hey everyone, it's your girl Kenya Moore. Kenya Moore hair care. Kenya Moore hair spot. Kenya Moore YouTube. Anyway, this is my first ever YouTube content that I'm putting out myself. And I'm so proud of myself because I am taking back the narrative instead of everyone speaking on me and, quite frankly, everyone making money off of me. That part. Even sitting down in the interview chair, I haven't done that like for a year. So guess what? I'm doing it for you. Thank you for joining me. And be sure to subscribe because you do not want to miss any of this hot, smoking, piping hot tea. Let's get into it.
All right, y'all. So she gets into it. She talks. The next segment is called "More Receipts" with her last name Moore.
Let's get into the receipts, okay? More receipts. I have more receipts for you, and I want to just talk about some things that I have been seeing out in the atmosphere that are completely laughable, most of it, but also in a lot of ways just really dumb. Yeah, I said
it. Okay. So I'm not gonna play like her whole receipts segment only because she does reference the RP, the revenge P. She says the actual word, and like I said, granted, she's not a seasoned YouTuber, um, so she probably doesn't know that. I'm surprised her team didn't tell her that because they did bleep out other language. Because I've watched this through once before, but I'm just going to skip around a little bit. Basically, she's saying in this segment that, the revenge P that she found from Brit Edy was readily accessible online, right? Now, I guess that's relative because she also did say while she was on the Housewives that she did hire a private investigator. So I'm thinking like, well, which one is it? Did you hire a PI or were the footage was the footage from Brit Edy just readily available? And I guess both can be true. She also mentions Kim K, and she's like, if I put up pictures from the Kim Kardashian tape, would that be considered revenge fee as well? Well, see, in the laws in Georgia are different than other states as well in regards to that specific area. But I mean, I would say, I just I don't know why. I mean, I understand why she brought up Kim K, but with Kim K and Ray J, from my understanding, they both gave consent. I think it was even like Kris Jenner, her mom had pushed the tape. Um, so I think that it's a lot more widely known. Kim K is an international celebrity, which again, like I said, Brit Edy, nobody really knew who she was. Brit says she was in high school when that was taken, so I don't know if she was 18 in high school or what her age was. But if she was a minor, then that's even more dangerous, in regards to laws protecting children. So it's just really murky waters.
I said it dumb. Portia, in her recent YouTube, alluded to another housewife sending me the photos of the now infamous photos that were shown.
Okay. So she plays just a really quick snippet of Portia just saying how, she got the photos and she uses the receipts to debunk this.
I know for a fact that one of these housewives who is still on the show is the one who gave Kenya a big part of that nude information. So number one, that's a lie.
Okay, so she's saying that's a lie. If you guys know, she's referring to Ming Lee, and Ming Lee said that she had some pictures of Brit Edy, in compromising positions and in her phone, which to me, the first thing I thought was, that's really weird. Like, I don't know their relationship, but unless they are in like an intimate relationship with each other, why would she want to keep pictures um, of Brit without any clothes on in her phone? Like, was she trying to be, sinister? Like, was it malicious intent? Have like some kind of leverage over her down the line? It's just like the more that we find out about this situation, the more insidious it is. Like they keep, peeling back these layers. But again, Kenya says, that the information that Portia got was not true. Maybe she did have pictures. Maybe Ming Lee had pictures, but also Kenya just says that basically, she got her information about Brit Edy and her photos and her pictures and videos and etc. from the private investigator that were online. So Kenya goes on to say that she got them from, adult sites. And she's like, I don't necessarily watch these sites. They don't do anything for me. I would rather, watch myself like in a mirror or something. But she said that it was a direct result of her hiring the private investigator. And then she said not including Drew Sidora. And I'm just thinking to myself, how many housewives are getting name dropped, in this video? I feel like they covered all of them with the exception of maybe Angela and Shamia. You got Portia and giving her 2 cents about Ming Lee. She's bringing up Drew Sidora. That, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is a mess. But anyway, she just says that the videos and everything, they're still out there. But she got her information, her footage from the PI that she hired.
That brings me to Ming Lee. Someone said that Ming Lee was somehow involved because they know each other, and Ming said out of her own mouth that she has a lot of evidence.
Okay, so you guys heard that. I'm like, Brit, girl, they got you out here. I don't even know. Listen, I don't even know Brit Edy, but like I said, Ming has her own collection of pictures. Then you have, I guess that's separate from the ones that Kenya's PI found. A mess. Okay, so then Kenya goes on to say that she contacted, attorneys, and I guess, like I said, with Georgia law, which I don't live in Georgia, so I'm not familiar with it, but she said that she got images and photos that were readily available online. So she's like, I did not share or commit the act of revenge P. So she uses the word a lot, so I can't. I'm like, girl, I don't know if anybody has taught you about monetization, Kenya, but you're gonna have to curb that language, baby girl. All right.
I've already said it was wrong. I should not have done it at my salon, this beautiful salon that I worked so hard for, that spent a lot of money on, that money that could have been spent in other areas, including supporting my child. So yes, I am very sorry that I shared the photos because it wasn't right, but I did not break the law. And I'm very sorry for what I did. So in the comfort of my own home, I was joking around with my bestie, which I always do, my very best friend, Brandon DeShazer. We were having a dispute on the show with Phaedra, and I was in my closet and I brought out my...
Okay, so you guys know what she's going to say. She brought out her pow, right? And it's like, you don't even think about, or at least I didn't think about, just potential laws being affected, especially, all those years ago when we were a lot younger, in past seasons during the Housewives. But she said that, she was in her home, Phaedra wasn't present, so it's not comparable. She's like, you're basically comparing apples to oranges. And I get that, right? Because while she shouldn't have, in my opinion, shown, any type of weapon on national TV, that's just not smart. Or even alluding to, even if you're joking, alluding to, threatening another housewife. I don't think that it's comparable at all because it wasn't in the heat of an argument. Like I said, Phaedra wasn't present. She was just doing it to be funny in the presence of her best friend, Brandon.
Okay, moving on. Tell us about your first interaction with Brit and why you feel like she misinterpreted your energy. Oh, I don't think she misinterpreted anything. It was all very calculated. So the first interaction I had with all of the ladies was actually really pleasant. I was excited to meet them. It was season 16. I'm like, oh my God, this is season 16. I'm the only one standing as a real OG, 12, 13 years in, and I felt like I could be mother to everyone. I'm a mother, okay? Show these girls I've been through the fire. I know what it's like to be a newbie. I know what it's like to be here. I know everything that could possibly happen has happened to me on this show. And I felt like I could speak, as someone that could be supportive, could read a girl if she's wrong. And my first interaction with all of the newbies, I was like, oh, girl, they're so pretty. Kelly was there, Brittany was there, everyone was there except for Angela at the moment, and also Drew. And I just remember coming in just being very pleasant to everyone, and there was an issue about a ring that someone made. I feel as though that was clearly a made-up issue. If someone has an engagement ring on and not a wedding band, not the other way around, because if you just have on one ring and it's just a circular ring, that's usually a wedding band. Now, you can choose to wear whatever you want to wear on your hand. No one's saying that. I was confused at what she was saying about it being a new ring or a different ring, or her second ring is actually what she said. I'm like, oh, you've been married before? I don't know this girl. I never seen her before in my life. So, again, you're wearing an engagement ring. I'm assuming that either you're engaged or you're I don't think you could be anything else. I think my fans know and I'm being shady. I think they call me the shade assassin for a reason. That wasn't shady.
And I have to agree with Kenya, especially on this part, right? For whatever reason, whether, Brit was threatened by Kenya being such a seasoned vet on the show, I don't know, Brit she came like really hard for Kenya out the gate for no reason. Like the fact that Kenya asked her about her ring and she was so upset and even, went to her husband and was, just exaggerating. I noticed that Brittany does that a lot. She exaggerates points to try to, I guess, gain like sympathy or whatever. But I have to agree. I don't think that Kenya was being shady at all. She was just asking her a question because she didn't know her. She was just trying to get to know her. So that point, I absolutely agree with her.
We know what my shady looks like. Let's move on. It wasn't shady. So after I saw her and, we had the whole moment again about the hug was a very awkward. I don't like to hug. If you see me out in public, I will probably never hug you because I do believe people transfer energy to you and you have to really kind of know someone and know where they're coming from to hug them. So I don't really hug people that I don't know. That's not a crime. That is a boundary that I have for myself, and people need to respect that. It's not personal. Then we get to the next time I see her, the ball mom event. I'm like, oh, you look so beautiful, like a ball mom Barbie. I know my Barbie. Hi. I hugged her then. Hugged her when I saw her another time. Hugged her at the dinner. That was a pat. That wasn't a hug. That's a hug without getting makeup on me. And she was complaining every step of the way.
Okay, so those are her receipts, right? She actually had clips, the audio clips from the show, where she, called her the Barbie, and then she said, that wasn't a pat, or that wasn't a hug, that was just a pat. And she's like, that was a hug, just trying not to get makeup on you. And listen, if you watch Kenya and her mannerisms from earlier seasons, that is how she hugs people. Like she actually does, lean in. She gives like the double air kiss. Because they do have on a lot of makeup that's, very expensive, that took a long time to do. They usually have, a whole glam team, and you don't want to mess that up. Again, for whatever reason, Brittany's insecurities were just like screaming. The fact that she was so upset that Kenya didn't want to, give her this tight, intimate hug, like she's a stranger. Why would you expect that a close hug from a stranger? It doesn't make sense to me. Why would she get so upset over, Kenya just asking her about a wedding ring or a wedding band? These things, again, they don't make sense to me. I'm not Team Twirl, to be honest. I mean, like I said, Kenya, she's cool. I am, disappointed in her actions, but she's making some really good points in this video, which is why I wanted to do a recap and cover it. Because I'm like looking back on it, I'm thinking, Brittany, I don't understand why she was so upset, why she was so insecure, why she was, took it from 0 to 100 real quick over just like the most little minuscule things. It doesn't make sense to me.
And she was complaining every step of the way. And I'm like, this girl has very bad energy. But I paid it dust and I just went on to have a good time because I was actually having a really good time at the dinner before it went left. So the whole thing about being targeted, her being targeted by me, people asking her if I did something to her, she can't answer why, because it didn't happen. Do you want to know what I really think happened? I think that when she was interviewing for Real Housewives of Atlanta, she wanted the villain role. She wanted to come after me because she felt like, okay, well, Portia wasn't there at the time. I was, right? And I believe that she made them promises that she was going to come after me. She was going to be this girl that could read, this girl that was doing all this, you know. And when she met me, Portia flushed this out. She was surprised and thrown off that I was so nice, because I am nice. I don't really bother people unless they bother me. We know I retaliate. We know that's what I do.
Okay, so I guess two things can be true, right? Because I do feel like in the instance with Brit, she was being nice to her. Does Kenya retaliate? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, is Kenya nice? I feel like that would be depending on who you ask, right? Because I feel like some people Kenya has rubbed the wrong way. Like if you were to ask Phaedra Parks, was Kenya nice? She would say no. She felt that it was really inappropriate that Kenya was flirting with her husband Apollo back when they were in Anguilla, and I would agree, you know. But then again, if you ask Portia a few seasons ago when she was dragging her by her hair, she would say no. But now, if you asked her, she would be more inclined to say, you know, yes. So again, you know, it depends. Um, I don't know. Kenya is one of those people that I feel like it's, you know, I can't even say you love her or hate her because, like I said, with me, I'm not moved either way. I'm pretty neutral. Everybody has, you know, good points and bad points. That's just the complexity that we all have as human beings. But like, she's not my favorite housewife, but she's also not the worst. So let's keep going.
I'm not saying it's always right, but I'm not going to let anybody run over me. And I have no reason to not like someone that I don't know. And I was always nice to the girls. The point is, I think she overpromised, which she would do on the show. The first 3 weeks of filming, she was exceptionally boring. There was nothing outstanding about her. She didn't come in. She wasn't dressed in designer clothes from head to toe. Her husband wasn't particularly interesting. Like, no, not trying to throw shade at the husband. Sorry about that. But there was just nothing in the group scenes that I saw her in that made me think, oh, that's a star, baby. I was actually more captivated by Kelly and Angela. And of course, I knew Shamia already. I knew her personality. But she was failing. Like, she was dull. Okay? So I think when she kept trying to come after me, and I just was like, okay, girl, I see you. You're trying to have a moment. You're falling flat. This is your 3 weeks in. Producers are probably asking you, girl, when are you going to show up? And you thought, okay, I'm going to show up tonight. And I think was her downfall from there.
I have to agree with her. I think that, you know, for whatever reason, Britt was intimidated by Kenya. Like I said, it could be because, you know, she had been successful in so many past seasons. But for her to be that insecure and for her to just be nitpicking everything Kenya did, from the hug to, you know, the comment on the wedding band, it didn't make sense. And it did fall flat. I did read as someone who was just very insecure and threatened by Kenya's presence. And it's unfortunate.
This is the biggest question that I have for the people that come on reality TV that have a shady past that you're not proud of. Okay, we've all done things in our past we're not proud of. Nobody was perfect. To the Simons, to the Chrisleys. It went from someone saying you're 17, age of consent, to, oh wait, that's not going to track. Okay, let me just say I was underage. No. So that's what I just don't understand. Like, I'm not even going to open that can of worms because my whole question and line of question would be completely different from everybody else's. I would want to know, if you're going to make a statement, you need to prove. Because we already know you're capable of lying, right?
Okay, so that's a good point too. Why would you subject yourself to public scrutiny if you know that you have a shady and a questionable past? Like, you know that things are going to come out. That doesn't make sense to me, because people online, I'm telling you, forget having a private investigator. Child, all you got to do is wait. All you got to do is wait, especially if you're a public figure. People will find your everything, like everything about you, your third grade report card, you know what I mean? And dig it up. The Chrisleys are both in jail right now because they were doing shady fraud, I believe, real estate fraud. I mean, Jen Shaw to Karen Huger to, Teresa Judice, who might actually end up going back to jail for the same thing. Like, girl, like you didn't learn your you learn your lesson the first time. What is going on with the housewives and the that's what we really need. We really need all the housewives who spent a little time behind bars to come to now see that's the show I would watch, to come together and share their experiences, share how they learned, how they grown. Hopefully I was gonna say how they don't want to return, Teresa, but that would be really interesting. Like, I would watch a show, once Jen Shaw gets out and Karen Huger gets out, and just to show how they've changed and hopefully evolved, grown as women. I would love that.
Like really? Am I the only sane person in the room? Why? Because they're so egotistical, they don't think they'll be found out. Like, okay, wow. You paid to scrub the internet out of your home words. Okay. Well, they left some dust in the corner. And over there in behind there too.
Okay, so now she's going to talk about.
Say that
Sorry, now she's going to talk about accountability. So that next segment is called More Accountability. She's going to talk about her going on Tamron Hall, and I actually did videos where she was on the Tamron Hall show, just taking accountability for her actions.
Have never taken accountability for anything, and that's simply not true. And I went on Tamron Hall. I was promoting my daughter's book. The issue came up, and I said I take full accountability. I am not playing the victim. I'm telling my own truth. I ultimately chose to go on Tamron Hall because I really needed to publicly take accountability for my actions. I mean, sharing that photo at my own salon opening was a serious lapse in judgment. Everybody can possibly now understand that it was definitely not the smartest thing to do. And I deeply regret that I hurt anyone that was involved, including the cast, including Brittany, including the crew, including any of the guests that were there to come to celebrate me. I mean, this platform gave me a chance to sincerely apologize and not to excuse what I did, but to own it fully. Sometimes the things that you do can come back and they can hurt you. And as I've said here before, I definitely did not. I escalated the situation. I didn't need to. Kim Fields, okay? People are so mad. That was 6-7 years ago, and rightfully so. I issued a public apology to Kim when I was on Watch What Happens Live. They asked me, is there anything that I regret? And I was like, absolutely. I think you learn from regret, but for me, I definitely regretted pulling her chair. That was not right. She's a class act, and we are over it. Like, she invited me to come on her show to film with her just last year, the Upshaws. So, wrong. I do take accountability. Another time I've taken accountability is, and these are just from what I can remember off the top of my head, was with Phaedra. I did some things with Phaedra that crossed the line. She did absolutely things that crossed the line with me. But I apologize for my part and what I did to contribute to the downfall of our friendship. And that was on the show.
Now I'm trying to remember what Phaedra did to Kenya. I know what Phaedra did to Candy and Portia, right? She made up that huge lie, and Candy act. She monetized off of it, creating her dungeon situation. But what did Phaedra do to Kenya that crossed the line? I don't know. Maybe it was something behind the scenes that we didn't see on camera, which is why, again, like Kenya said, that she doesn't start it, but she finishes it. She definitely retaliates. Maybe that was what fueled the battery in her back to go after Apollo. I don't know. But that's interesting.
So I'm not sure why people didn't acknowledge that was taking accountability, but I absolutely did in that moment too. I'm not playing a victim. I am in this situation partly because of my choices. Back to the original point, I have taken accountability. So you guys just choose not to see it. It's okay, but I'm just going to remind you. So now it's time for a commercial break. And since people want to talk about snatching edges, because you can get real close. These are my edges. You can even see the little gray hairs. Okay, it's not a lace front. This is my hair. Well, not this, but this is my hair, and these are my edges. I developed Kenya Moore hair care similarly to why I developed a product line as well as a spa. I love making women look and feel good. Like, I love when women come into the salon or use my products and leave reviews and say, my hair has transformed. I have had so many customers and positive reviews before any housewives drama had anything to do with it. My customers say more edges work. So try more edges today. You can find them online, or you can come into the shop, or you can go to CVS or Sally. So they all have different products, but we're also going to be back on Amazon, so check it out there too. Kenya Moore Hair Care.
Listen, I'm not mad at that at all, right? Absolutely plug your products. That would be a missed opportunity if she didn't. And I really hope that she does focus more so on her online products, because the e-commerce market is booming. So that was a smart business decision.
We're going to get into even more receipts, okay? I'm going to be answering questions that you guys have submitted. And don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Because if you don't, you won't get any notifications when I drop something new or when the juicy gossip hits the net first. You hear it from me first, right here. People are saying, why didn't you go to the producers if you were so great? Well, the answer is I did. I did go to producers. Number one, when we were there, Portia and I stayed back while everyone was leaving, and Brit Edy was irate. She was yelling and screaming, and it was then that I heard her say the following words. That's why I keep a for like you. Let me repeat that. You didn't hear it. I heard it. It didn't make the edit. That's why I keep really shaken, and I was like just trying to figure things out. So I did go to the producer. Not only did I go to the producer then, I also went to the production company that night, explained what happened, and said, I don't know what's going on. We're 3 weeks into filming, and this girl we don't know is threatening to unalive me. I've been on the show for 12 seasons. I've never once had anyone threaten me with somebody that we know that has something to lose. Did you hear me say that? If it was someone that we already knew, that we have been filming with for years, and we know that they have something to lose, maybe I would have taken it differently.
So she's absolutely right. I feel like what I really wish Kenya would have done is escalated or gone up to the chain of command, right? And I know that she had bodyguards and before she'd hired security. Maybe bring a security guard on set with her and say, and I would send that invoice to NBC Universal or Bravo, right, to Andy's desk. But if they felt ignored, then I would say, okay, well, this is a dereliction of duty. It's negligence on your part because now my safety I can't be a housewife and be in an unsafe work environment, right? So not only have that security guard present, which it would have served twofold. It would have not only protected her, but let them know that she meant business. But also, I wouldn't even have talked to Brit after that. Like, you can't threaten somebody, you know, try to say you're going to take them out of here essentially, and then go back to work, as usual. So instead of, Kenya being petty, like, I would have kept it like real professional, possibly even have gotten a lawyer, HR, all that. And those things are put in place for a reason, because it's a workplace at the end of the day.
But when someone you don't know, who basically, in my words, like you just, you found off the street, is doing all of that, you guys weren't there. You do not know how intense it got. It got so intense. So I did make my complaint. Well, I went to the police before, and honestly, I'm the only cast member there that's ever been physically attacked. Whether you say I deserved it, whether you say I did this or did that, it's obviously a polarizing conversation, and it was back then. But
okay, wait. I don't think that she was the only cast member that's been physically attacked. I don't know if she meant just like this season, but if you guys remember, Portia went after Cynthia, and Cynthia actually had to like kick Portia in self defense. I can remember Nene. Was it Nene tugging at Kim's wig? No, that was Sheree. Sheree Whitfield was. They were outside, and Nene was there, but she was outside tugging at Kim's wig, and somebody accused Nene of smacking him, and Nene was like, "Well, I was smart enough to do it off camera." Essentially, like, these girls have been scrapping, and Portia, child. I feel like the more I try to listen to Portia's YouTube a little bit, and I feel like the more that I listen to her, the less, because I used to like Portia. Like, I just thought that she was ditzy, the whole Underground Railroad and the whole 265 days out of the year. I thought that she was just real ditzy. But Portia's violent. She was fighting, people all down at the Mexican restaurant. When she had her own spinoff, Portia Family Matters. She was chasing somebody down an alley. I forget. Somebody she was, fighting Kenya, fighting Cynthia. Just, that girl stays scrapping. Like, girl, we need some more conflict resolution. And if she had gone to the police, that would have been a much better, that would have been some evidence, some documents that would have helped solidify her case. Like, that could have been a lawsuit for Bravo, and I'm sure they would have settled out of court, especially if she had, like I said, security and a police report. That would have been a bag, and she probably would have even been more protected. Had her position on the show even more solidified had she done so professionally and not have gone gutter. Like, she's talking about taking it to the street. She was real petty. That's exactly what she did. She took it to the street, and it's like, no, baby girl, this is a workplace that's filmed all over the world. you can't you can't do that. You have to know, when you can have your street smarts, but also keep it professional. And that's when your business sense should have kicked in, especially since you were at literally the location of your business. Like, it was not only your workplace, but also your spa opening. Let's keep it moving.
I was, and still am, the only one on the show that was physically attacked. So when someone is new to me coming around and saying that they are going to unalive me and use a on me, and then what you heard 2 or 3 more times saying they have whips and MF, that wasn't about the neighborhood. When you try to change the narrative to make it benefit you because of your inaction, that's rigging the game. You're rigging the game. You clearly rigged the game against me. Listen, I'm going to leave it right there. I did what I was supposed to do. And
no, but she didn't. And that's the thing. Because if you did what you were supposed to do, you shouldn't have given, then they would have no grounds to have suspended you. And, the visceral reaction that she got from the housewife, you can tell looking back the Kenya was surprised, or maybe I don't know. She, like I said, she'd had all those shots of tequila, but so maybe that numbed her, response time. But you can tell, I think that she was a little surprised or taken back by how the ladies just they were so like disgusted and they just wanted to get out of there. So nobody supported Kenya in her decision because, again, I'm glad that she took accountability. I'm glad that she went on Tamron Hall, but I'm sure if she could do things over, she wouldn't have done this at all. Um, yeah, I don't think that she did what she was supposed to do. If she did what she was supposed to do, she would still be there, and Brittany would not.
I take a lot of umbrage to someone now saying that they didn't have a gun. I only go to the same gas station if I'm in the city. Yeah. On her Instagram, she said that wasn't her character. She did not threaten anyone with. She did not have. She never said anything about. So we know that that was a complete lie. So we already know you were a liar. We already know she's capable of lying and trying to rig the game. Let's go back to this whole Watch What Happens live interview where Andy asked her the gun policy. Things. Now you want to do an investigation? 3 weeks have gone by? Because someone said it, well, we already know that person is a liar, right? Because we have proof, solid proof, from her own Instagram that she lied about talking about the gun that night. So we already know you're a liar. And now we're investigating something 3 weeks. Think the question. Can you go to your job tomorrow and say, you, Joe, you gonna learn today? You don't know what the f I am, Joe. Fuck you, Joe. You gonna have some respect around here. I got whips, that's why I keep a for like you, Joe. I'm going straight to HR. You going to HR?
Okay, Kenya, she is doing the most. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're bleeping like every other word. Like, girl, somebody get Kenya, pull her to the side and tell her that YouTube is, they don't play. But listen, she's right, and that's what I feel like she should have done. She should have gone to HR like her producer said. I would have gone straight to HR, not, going to Kinko's and making billboards and trying to be petty. No, that's not how you win. Mm-mm.
Police. If that happened on Beverly Hills, you think she would be in jail or punished or out of a job? You think if she had said that to Kyle or Teresa Giudice or any other housewife on any other show, do you think she would still have a job?
No, she wouldn't. One, because the differences, the disparities already. Two, with Teresa though, I don't know. Teresa, her family, Teresa flips tables, and we know that her husband and her brother, have fought physically. They threw hands for several seasons. So I don't know. New Jersey is a whole different animal than Beverly Hills. Now Beverly Hills, especially like Kyle, no, that's Hilton money. That's, you know what I mean? They can't even hardly feel like they can ask questions about her relationship with Morgan without Kyle melting down, melting down and running out of, whatever venue they're at, whether it's a restaurant or, they asked her about the text message she was sending to Dorit's husband, and she ran out of the spa day, the bows through the girls, the wellness thing, crying and sobbing. So it don't even get to the level of having a pow of Beverly Hills. They assassin. They get them with the words, but those girls aren't. They're not built like New Jersey. I'll say that. But to answer your question, no, because Kyle, they would have called their lawyer on speed dial immediately before she even finished the sentence. Especially
I'm just asking a question. Things been handled differently, I would have never felt a need to protect myself or escalate the situation. People go, oh, well, how is that protecting yourself? Because where I'm not even mention where I'm from. Where I'm from, and you may end up having to delete this, but I'm going to say it. You tell me if it's too hard.
It said, and we in fact did have to delete it because Kenya, okay, first of all, this girl is a mess and a half. They had And she's from the D. Shout out to Detroit, Michigan. Okay, 313. I've been there so many times. You know, it's one of my favorite airports to fly out of. That's actually the only airport though that I missed a flight. And I actually, got there in time to make the flight, but they were just giving me a hard time. Detroit is a mess. Okay, you can definitely tell that is exactly where Kenya's from. No, I do. I have some great friends from Detroit, and they're not as difficult as she is. But listen, they had to go ahead and cut it because Kenya's out here, you know, speaking like a sailor. Like, okay, calm down, Popeye.
Another target. That's that. You want the truth? That's the truth. Do you feel that your retaliation allowed the new girl to trick you out of your spot?
Yep.
Ooh, I don't think there's any such thing. I already had a spot. How can somebody trick? It wasn't a spot up for grabs. Like, nobody snatched a peach. Everybody had a peach. So nobody tricked me out on the spot. So that does make sense. Do you feel like Cynthia threw you under the bus as Team Brit? I'm not going to talk about Cynthia. I just want to know how much you make a season, honey. How much I make a season? Well, I mean, I don't talk about money. When it comes to like my own money, I see a lot of this crazy reports saying like my net worth is $800,000. My house is worth $3 million. Like, how is my net worth $800,000? Like, I own that much in cars. Like, just stop. Like, I think it's tacky to talk about money, so I'll just leave it at that. But
okay, well, if you think it was tacky to talk about money, then why would you bring up the cars and the value of your house? That doesn't make sense. And if you had that much money, you would not have been crying about that $400,000 that you sunk into your hair spa, and then essentially, threw that down the drain because that not only hurt your business, any kind of potential collaborations with other brands, but also Brit Edy did knock you out of your spot. I mean, I understand what she's saying, that she did have a peach, but you don't have it anymore, and I doubt that you'll ever be asked back. So essentially, yeah, she did do exactly that. And I feel like Kenya, because of her longevity on the show, she was one of the, I think her and Candy, before Candy left, they were banking some nice checks. So, yeah, she did, unfortunately, lose a lot of money.
I think it's decent to say that I make more than the girls that are on the show now. Thank you. Saved by the bell. Saved by the bell. Will you attend the reunion? Will I attend the reunion? I haven't been invited to the reunion. In fact, I was invited and then disinvited a few months ago. The disrespect is insane. From me being someone who has always loved Real Housewives of Atlanta and always wanted to see them win, to being shut out, not given an opportunity to apologize the same way that they gave that grace to someone else on the show. I think it's really odd, right? To be erased from history of the show, to not be in the opening credits, to not have confessionals. When Kim Zolciak left the show, she got a whole new show. She was in the confessional. She was a peach holder. You got girls taking glasses and knocking each other upside the head with real glasses on Jersey. You've had people talking about porn on Jersey. You've had people exposing, a real life revenge porn case on Vanderpump Rules. They're working. They haven't been made to look like a scumbag or a villain. Really? That's how I'm treated? That's pretty bad, I would say. So I don't anticipate an invitation. Yeah, I don't see that. Why do you promote the salon more? I've always been struggling with building a team. That's why I always admire Andy so much, because she has this awesome team. She has an amazing team and she totally gets it. But you need help. And so when I'm just building out the salon and I'm out of all this money, $400,000, I'm fighting with the landlord.
Okay, see, there it is, right? She just said she's out $400,000. I cannot even imagine losing that amount of money because you want to be petty. Like that's a lesson. Like that reminds me of Target. You know what I'm saying? Of the Target boycott, they're losing millions, and Target is trying to meet with Al Sharpton and trying to backtrack. I'm still not going to shop at Target, but money matters. It absolutely does. Keep it real, Kenya.
About giving me my little $80,000 back in my TI. Obviously, I built a whole new, top floor, put all this money into it. And then thinking about, okay, now I'm going to put even more money in hiring a team and doing this and doing that. It just felt like I can handle it. Let's just, I'm not going to throw good money after bad. We're just going to let a year go by and see how it goes. I've been open for over a year and a half, about a year and a half, I think. At least a solid year. And what I have loved the most about this salon is the women, the customers that come in and are so happy with their results. The smiles, the repeat customers, like we have 85% repeat customers. And then when the Housewives show airs and the whole scandal airs, I have all these strangers from all over the country leaving bad reviews. We go from 4.9 Google reviews rating to 4.4. And every day there's somebody saying something crazy to try to hurt my business. If you don't like me, you don't have to like me. If you don't like what I did, you don't have to like what I did. But why are you coming after my business? The same, it's a culture that it can be very beneficial to you because I have a lot of supporters and Team Twirl is awesome. But then when you have these bad C's and people that don't think things through and just try to spew hate in your direction, that's what makes it really bad. That's not fair to the customers that really get great service when they come here. And it's up to them. If you don't want to come to the salon, stay at home. It's as simple as that. You don't have to come here. But why are you trying to ruin other people from coming here and having great experiences? I work so hard, sometimes I'll step into a head spa if I don't have a stylist. Walter can tell you that. If I don't have a stylist for the day or someone calls out, I don't want to let anyone down. So I'll put, my shampoo gloves on. I'll shampoo someone's hair. Or I'll do a deep conditioning treatment because I want everyone to believe in the space and have an amazing time when they're here. And that was always my vision. And the girls want to know what you got in the works. Ew. I always keep things close to the vest until when it's almost out. So I have got a lot of different projects that people will be able to see me and my daughter in. And I'm just really so happy about that. But again, you don't know anything until after, it's in the can. You know what I mean? Even if I've been shot in a movie, I don't talk about the movie until I know it's being released and I've seen it and I'm in it. So I want to thank you guys for listening to me today. Listen, we don't have time for everything. I'm not on RHOA right now, right? But my influence is still there. People are still obsessed. People are still using my taglines. People are still coming for me. And I'm not even there. So, listen, I am still the moment. And I'm really happy that you guys are joining me today. So comment and subscribe. And listen, I'm going to twirl on out here. I'm still in my chair. And I'm still twirling, honey. I'm still here.
Okay. So Kenya twirled on out. And I enjoyed her YouTube confessionals. I feel like she definitely hit points that people were asking, and they did answer some questions from subscribers. So I look forward to her upcoming projects. I know that she has her Brooklyn bound copyright that's currently being filed and trademarked. So that focuses on her daughter and her line, I think, of children's books, which is originally why she went on Tamron Hall to promote her daughter's book, or the children's book that she wrote for her daughter. But she also has other things, I think, a kids clothing line and some other things. So you guys support Kenya in that. I just wish that, again, she would have handled it more so like a seasoned vet and a businesswoman, because it is unfortunate that she did file a police report. She wasn't taken seriously, And the whole situation is just like, wow. Like when she said that she was invited to the reunion and then disinvited, I'm like, yeah, it's a wrap. I really do feel like it's a wrap for her being on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Unfortunately, you know, people are not treated the same all across the board, which is why you have to move, really strategically and not let people knock you off. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Y'all go support Kenya if that's, what you want to do. But like I said, I enjoyed her video and I look forward to the ones in the future. All right, you guys, take care. Enjoy this beautiful holiday weekend. Bye, Aces.